Hi there and welcome to Darlene's Creative Studio. Today is February the 17th, 2021, and yesterday on Instagram I posted my little book that I made. It was my business card holder. I have been purging my office and I am doing the 100-day project over on Instagram. And my project for the 100 days is I am going through all of my stash and purging all my papers and trying to make some ephemera or using up the papers, or I'm just recycling it. I have piles and piles and piles and bags of papers and bits and pieces, and I'm just trying to clear them all out so that I can focus on making some journals and stuff for the new year. So I posted a picture of this little card holder that I made, and my other one is a couple of years old and it's starting to get a little worn. So I've used this was a card that I received in a swap. It was a Christmas card, and I believe it was from, it's on the back, it was made in Spain. But I just loved it, and I found it in one of my stash, and I pulled it out and thought, I've got to make something with this before I end up putting it back in a pile and losing it again. So I just grabbed a scrap of scrapbooking paper and made myself a quick little business card holder, and I keep this in my purse. I keep all of my personal addresses in this book on little cards that I cut out, and they're 2 inches by 3.5 inches, the size of a business card. I just cut a whole bunch of pieces on plain cardstock, and I write all my personal address, like my son, my daughter, my cousins, my mom's, my whatever. I have them all on here, so if I ever go into a store or I'm ever somewhere and I don't have my phone with me, or it's in the bottom of my purse, I can easily get access to their information just in this little book. And then I also keep in here my doctor's cards, so my physician, my eye doctor, my ear doctor, whatever, all of those doctors is my dentist, and then addresses of places that we stay. If we rent a house for a couple of months in the winter, I keep the address and the gate codes and everything in here, so I have everything at my fingertips. So I've just put in about 6 to 7 little pages and sewn them into the book. So the first half is where I keep the business cards, and then the second half I just used some scrap lined notebook paper that I had. Again, it was pages that I had taken out of a book and they either tore, or I couldn't sew them, or there was something where I couldn't actually use the full page flip open in a journal or whatever. So I just keep the scraps. So I've got a whole basket of those. And then in the back part, this is about the size of a business card. This little envelope is just glued on. So I would probably keep my business card here. And then this opens up, and I've just made some little index card tags and some pockets here. And I had a little 2-inch scrap left from this scrapbooking paper, and I just made the whale tail tabs. These little tabs out of them. So I will keep some other information on there. I'm terrible for my pin codes for my cards. Sometimes I don't use them for months on end, and then I get there and go blank. So I normally write them down in a different way. I'll make it look like a phone number. And the last 4 digits are actually my pin card. So anyway, that's kind of my little book that I keep in my purse. It just has an elastic closure with the little feet that hold it there. And I keep that in my purse. So I posted this on Instagram, and someone asked me how to make it. I'm not sure if I've done this on a video before, but I thought I'm going through all my scrapbooking scraps anyway, so I may as well make another one while I'm doing this. So all I've done is I grabbed my scrapbooking papers, and I have lots that are different sizes. So these are all some of my scraps. These are just on top. So what you need is a 5-inch by 12-inch piece. So some of these are 4.75. You could get away with that. You just need to be able to fit a business card inside that. 4.75. So this one's 5 inches, and there's a scrap of the same. So I'm going to use that, I think. They think these are 5 inches, so these would do just the same. But as the pieces get bigger, I try and save these, because you could make something else out of these, and I'd really hate to waste a great big huge scrap like that. So I'll save that and use that for something else. Now this paper, I know this paper is from this paper pad. It's called Preserved Papers. And the only thing I love the papers, but some of them have the foil imaging on it. See how it has the gold writing? And I do not like the gold when I'm using it. I find it very hard to score and fold when it has gold on it like this. So I don't normally use the gold pages. So again, that's what I'm trying to do, is go through my papers, take out any of the, so I'd go through that pad and I take out anything that I know I'd use, and anything that has the gold foil on it, I'm going to put it in a bag, and that's going to be part of my destashing pile. So what I'm going to do is, this is going to be the little cover. This is going to be the inside. So I would take this scrap here and I would make some of the tabs for the little tags that I have inside. So I would just take my little punch here and just go along and make some tags. And I would go ahead and punch the whole thing. Oops, that's very, very crooked. We don't want the words to be very crooked. There we go. And I always hold my punches upside down so I can see where I'm punching, whether it needs to be straight, or if I can squeeze one more little tab out like that. And then this will go in my recycle bin. So I've got some extra tabs. I might not use them all, but I've got some extra tabs that I can keep for other projects as well. Okay, so I'm going to set the tabs aside. So what we're going to do is get my scoreboard out, and you want to determine which is going to be the front, which is where you're going to be putting an image. You don't have to. If the paper is really pretty and you don't want to put something on top of it, you don't have to do that, but I just thought that was really pretty. You could put a little image there. So that's going to be my front. So my score marks, I'm going to put them are upside down because I want to score it on this side, right? So it's upside down. So the first score mark, the book itself is about 3 1/8 wide. It can be 3 inches. I just don't know why I chose. I was trying to use up all of the 12 inches. So 3 1/8, 3 1/2, and that will give you your cover and your spine. Then you go to 6 and 6 5/8. And then you go to 9 5/8. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and fold those score marks. Now this is pretty thick cardstock, and the reason I use the cardstock is that it's going to be pulled in and out of my bag, my purse, so I want it to last for at least a year or two. So you want something that's fairly thick and sturdy. Okay, and there's my 9 5/8. So you're going to end up with a piece that looks like that. Okay. And then what I'm going to do for this is going to be a pocket, and I'm going to go ahead and punch a little spot in this for a thumb tab. So punch that out, so that when I glue this down and put a card in there, I can grab this little tab. It'll be sticking out of the card, like this one. Okay. And then I just went ahead and, again, you can use whatever you like. If it's double-sided and you don't want to put anything in there, you can just leave it like that. I took some Edith Holden book pages and actually glued them onto here, and then glued my pocket down so I had something on the inside, because this scrapbooking paper was white on the inside. It was not double-sided. Now, I don't have to do that because I already have some paper here, and this is fairly sturdy cardstock. I'm not going to worry about it being thickening it up. So we would glue this guy down. And then what I would do is I'm going to create some pockets, a 2-tier pocket here, and those are really, really easy to do. Let's see what I have for scraps here. So what you're going to need, this little side here is that 3 1/8. So you want something that's going to be 3 inches, plus you want a 1/2 inch on either side for the flaps to tuck under. So you need a 4-inch wide piece, and it's going to be about 3 inches tall. Is it 3 inches or 2.5 inches? Let's see what my bottom pocket here is. Yeah, see, it's just a small one, the bottom one. So 2 inches. So you need it to be 4 by 2 to go across the bottom pocket there. Okay, so for the pocket on the bottom, this pocket here, we need a 4-inch wide by 2.5 inch tall, because we're going to do 1/2 inch flaps on the side and a 1/2 inch flap on the bottom. And I'm just going to go ahead and score across the bottom here. Just going to get out of the way and fold this up like that. And then you're just going to cut those little corner pieces off. So I'm just cutting off the corner and putting it at a slight angle on either side. So get rid of those. So we end up with something like that. So these are my sides, and that's my bottom. So that's my first pocket. And that's going to go right there. And then to create another pocket on the top, and I'm just going to use another scrap of this paper, it's going to slide down. So you want it to be about 2 inches, I believe, is the top. So it's 4 inches by, you want it to be about 1.5 inches on the top. Yeah. So this is 2.5 inches the same. So I cut 2.5 by 4. And then what you're going to do for this one is you're only going to do the 2 side flaps, 1/2 inch flaps. And then what you're going to do is decide how tall you want your pocket. So I'm going to say 1.5 inches. So I'm just going to do a light score line. Is it 1.5 inches or is it 1.25 inches? 1.25 inches. So very lightly I've done a score line on the side flaps, but I've done a little tiny one across there. And you don't push hard, because what you're going to do is you open up your flaps and you're going to cut this on an angle like that up to that score mark. Cut that off like that. So on the front piece, you're cutting it on a slight angle, and then you're cutting that side flap off. So you end up with a little piece with ears like that. And what happens is that one slides down inside the other one, and you have a 2-tier pocket. So you can put it the front and the back. And then I'm just going to take my, and I think I just used my, put them together, and I think I've just used this little 1-inch punch. And I'm just going to give a quick little pop there. Take those out. If you stack them up, you'll get the exact same location for the punch. Okay, so what you do is you glue your bottom one on first. Make sure it's between your 2 score lines so it doesn't interfere with your folds. Okay, so we're going to glue that one down, and then you just put glue on the flaps, and you're going to slide this one inside the other one and glue down your flaps, and you have a little 2-tier pocket. So let's go ahead and glue that on. I got a big wad of glue on the end of this and it's clogging it up. Okay, let's try this again. There we go. And then you're going to put some on the bottom flap as well. And I normally fold these in and push that bottom flap up like that. And again, I line up the bottom first, and then tuck my flaps in and then lay it down. So again, you want it between your 2 score lines. You want to be able to fold them up like that. And then this one, you just put a little bit of glue on the flaps. tuck this flap inside the pocket, and it should come down to that little light score line that you've made on the front of that piece. You should be able to see your little marks from where you made your little score lines. And then you now have a little pocket on the bottom and a large pocket in the top, like that. And that's that side. Now we can glue this one closed. Because I'm not using the paper on the inside, this is double-sided cardstock, so I'm not going to bother with the inside paper. Save myself some time. So we're going to go ahead and glue that down like that. And then basically you're going to measure for your cards. Now these cards are about 2.5 by 2 3/4. Because this width of was 3 1/8, and I would say it's probably going to end up being 3, less than 3. So you just put your ruler on top, and you know you don't want it to be touching the edges. So we could do 2 3/4 easily for your width. I do 2.5, and then this one's going to be 4 high, and this one's going to be 2 3/4 high. So 2.5 wide by 2 3/4, and that one goes in there, and that one goes in there. And then I just use, I've got some tea stained index cards here, so I might go ahead and use that, and they are already 4 inches tall. So I just need to cut them. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. I'm just going to cut them the 2.5 wide. So there we go. So there's one that will go in that slot there. And then this one, we only need it to be 2 3/4. So I'll cut that down. Like that. And again, I like to round up my corners. I find when you have pointy edges, they get caught on some of the things on the inside there. So I just quickly round out my corners here. There's that one. There's that one. And then I'm just going to take, I find when you use cardstock for your whale tail punch, or your tab punch here, I find it easier if you line this up, push it up against the top of your scoreboard, your 2 little edges there, and line up that where it indents a little bit. There's glue all over my, and then just give it a light score down the middle, and it just will fold more evenly. So there's that one. Let's do this one. Same thing. I'm just pushing these 2 little flat edges up to the top of my scoreboard. It doesn't have to be at any specific measurement. You just want to have a line that you can draw where it indents just slightly there, and then you get a nicer fold. And let's do one more. Like that, and again we'll fold that over. Okay, so we have, I think that one's going to go there. So let's put this one on the tall one right there. Now you can distress the edges of your card if you like. So I'm just going to eyeball it. There's my little tab for that one. And the same for this one. Just just going to eyeball it. And that is that one. There. And then for this pocket, I only want the card. Let's put these ones away so we can... I don't want the card to be too large. So this one is 2.5 by 4.25. And all I do for measuring this is I put my ruler in and I see how far over I go. Let me get back into the screen here. See how it's glued flat there? So I know I'm only going to go to that line there. And the same with this one. So I only can go, yeah, so it's probably going to be about the 4.25. To be on the safe side, I'm going to go 4 1/8 wide. And I'll test it and make sure it fits in. Yeah, perfectly. And then I don't want it to stick up too far, so I'm just going to cut it off at that line there. And again, it's a lot of eyeballing. Let's round up my corners so they don't get caught when you pop them into the... And we'll glue on our tab. Eyeballing. And when you put that inside the pocket, it's not going all the way down. I mean, it's a little too tall. You want to make sure that your tab doesn't hit the top. Yeah, so I got to cut another little bit off the bottom here. So I just cut off 1/4 inch. So now when you slide it in there, yes, see your tab won't hit that score. So now you can fold it over and it doesn't hit the other side. Okay? So you want to make sure that it's short enough that your tab doesn't hit. And I put the tabs on there because they're so much easier to pull out than without. And this one I find, I have to, no, it's all the way down. Okay. I just want to make sure it went all the way down. Okay, and then what I do for this one is I just use these little Velcro tabs. They are 3/8 inch circles. There's 56 circles. They're from Velcro. And they're called thin clear fasteners. And the thing I like about these is the top fuzzy side is white, but the bottom side, the thicker plastic side, is clear. Ooh, it's snowing like crazy outside. So when you put these on, you always put the fuzzy one on the top piece and you put the clear one on the bottom. So I take the fuzzy white piece and this is the clear bottom piece and I put them together like that. I have to stick it to my finger. And then I put it on the corner right there of my book. And then when I close it, it will line up perfectly. Close it and then open. And you don't see the clear bottom one, but you can see a little bit of the white one. And that's how you close that off, like that. So there is our pockets, there is our little cards, our journaling cards. Let me just round these corners. I have a thing against sharp, pokey corners. All right, let's get that guy back in there. Okay, so that's that. For the little pocket, again, it's just a little vellum envelope pouch that I have here. And it is pretty, it does have like a little swoop there, but I find it's not enough. So I'm going to grab a scrap piece of cardstock and I want to make the punch hole just a little bit bigger, and thank goodness this punch fits in just barely. So I'm going to slide that in there, and then I take my piece of cardboard and I slide that in just till it reaches the top of my envelope, so that when you punch it, you're punching into cardboard. And that didn't punch very much, did it? You want it to be a little deeper than that. Let's try that again. Let's see how far down I can slide that in. Oh, I can get there pretty much. Okay, let's try that again. So you slide the cardboard in. There you go. See, it gives you some punch. This vellum does not like your paper punches. It just bends. So if you put your punch inside and you go to punch vellum, always put a scrap of paper, even just photocopy paper, on top of the vellum to slide it in on the top and then punch, and it will punch much better. Okay, so this now will go on this side here. So let's glue that down. And then you can add whatever you like for picture. My goodness, it's snowing, it's snowing. And I keep it down near the bottom because you're going to have your business card in there, right? So that's glued on there. So that will fit a business card size. It's a business card sleeve. So there you go. And then you can put whatever you like on top of it. It doesn't have to be, I've used a washi sticker. It does not have to be a washi sticker. You can use whatever you like. And I will find something for on top of that in a moment. So that's those. And then I have a lot of Edith Holden book pages. I have a whole file folder. With just the text. So I think I will use these as my book pages again, because I have lots of them left over. And you need about 7. So there's 4. I'm just going to flip through and see if there's any that jump out at me. 5, 6, maybe just do 6. Okay, I'm going to do 6. That's nice and old. Okay, so let's grab 6 of those. And now I didn't put them, they are 6 inches wide, which is what you need them to be for this book. So I just made sure I trimmed them to 6, maybe just a little under 6. And then you choose how tall you want the book to be. I normally go 1/8 inch smaller than my actual book. So if the book is 5, I would go either 4 3/4 or 4 5/8. So you don't need them really, really tall because they're just going to be holding paper and business cards. These ones are 4 1/2. So it's a little bit smaller, but I might go a little bit larger with the next one. Yeah, so I might go 4 3/4. So all I do is make sure that the page is 6 inches and then go, and I think I know I did 4 1/2 because I could cut one of these pages in half perfectly. Yeah, because they're 9. So if I cut it in half perfectly, I would get 4 1/2 and 4 1/2. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim these out, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've gone ahead and cut these. I just trimmed them to 6, so they were about 7 inches wide. So I've cut it to 6, and then I made these 4 3/4 tall because I want to have a substantial size book. And then all I do is take them over here to my, push this and fold them in half. So 1, 2, 3, 4, And I find some of the older books, the pages aren't very straight, so that's something you might want to consider when you're cutting them, that the pages might not be. I've had a couple of books where I've opened them up and the page is literally totally crooked. Okay, so then we're just going to stack these together and make one signature. Six pages. So that will give me 24 pages on either side. And then this is going to be sewn into here on that little spine that we have, like that. So when we open it up, we'll have our book pages sewn in. And then that's when I'll add my photo corners. For this one, I'm going to add the paper going this way with the lines going across. And I'm going to put those at the front. And then at the back, I will have every other side with these photo corners for my cards. Just so you can write some information, personal information, or if you have to write an address or something like that, you've got that down there as well. And then that gets sewn on there. And then you choose a photo for the front. You can also choose a photo for your little envelope sleeve. I've been going through my stash of stuff. Let me just move all this out of the way. And I have this great big huge stack of planner pages that my mother used to get all these planners every year from me for Christmas, and she just gave them all back to me. So I can use those for a front cover. So I can use something like this and just cover it up. Put something like that on there, or the little bird. I also have, this is why I'm kind of purging. I came across this Ziploc bag filled with just a whole bunch of loose stuff. I didn't know what to do with it, so I shoved it all in a Ziploc bag. But this is cut out of a magazine. Might have been Daphne's or something like that, but this was just one side of the page, so I thought it was really pretty. I'll keep that and use that for something. These are out of the Reader's Digests that I recycle and make into my journals. These are some of the story cover pages. So I'm going to cut out these pictures and use these for something. I just think they're really pretty. So I have stuff like that. These were old end pages from some of the books, and I put them through my printer and printed out some hands, and I sometimes will cut these out and add these into my journal, so I have those. This is from a very, very old magazine, and I've been saving this picture for I don't know how long, and I might try and use it in this little book, because again, it's not going to do you any good sitting inside of a bag. So I might use it for the cover and actually put a black or a brown piece of cardstock behind it to make it stand out a little bit. So there's that option. And then these are just little pieces. These are out of old books. Some pictures that were in books. These are from the planner pages. The actual covers had little samples, or it was a calendar. These are some digitals that I've printed. So I've got tons of, these are more of the planner pages. Actually, that's kind of pretty, that little pot. So I've got lots of things here that I've just thrown into things I've printed out and just thrown into so this is the kind of thing, you put them in a bag and you forget you have them. So this is what I'm trying to sort through and find out. Like, there's a little envelope I made out of a digital someone gave me. So that might even be cute stashed in one of these pockets. Here's tons of stuff. This is out of a book. This little girl's cute. See, there's so many options. Like, I think she's adorable. So I'll keep her out. But some of my tickets that I made. There's some more of those hands. Like, this is just a whole bunch of stuff that I've thrown into a pile that I printed out and forgot I had. There's some digital cards. Just tons of stuff. So this is the whole purpose of purging this stuff. So I can find all the stuff. This is from a scrapbooking papers. These are from some kids' books. And some more book pages. So this is the kind of stuff that I I put in a Ziploc bag and stick on a shelf and forget I have. So that's why I want to use them up. So we'll put those over out of the way. And I'll try and decide on what image I want to use. Oops, for the cover of this. I really like that one. That one kind of is very pretty. And then this one as well. I think I'm going to save her for something else. I've got something else in mind for her. So if I go ahead and I'm just going to trim this right to the edges, and then I'm going to distress the edges, and I will glue this on to my cover. And then I'm going to get out my binding thread, my waxed linen thread, and yeah, see, she's cute. I'm going to glue her onto the front. So I'm just going to distress that and get some of my other supplies together. Okay, so these are, I've got a sewing needle, some waxed linen thread, my jumbo paper clip to hold things together. I've got my little tiny awl over there. I just grabbed a piece of cardstock and folded it in half and punched it on. I have a little template that has holes in it, and I've just gone ahead and done it every 1/2 inch. So you take your 6 pieces of paper. This little binding, or this little needle punch, I got from, she just actually has them in her shop. It's Colorway Arts. It's cartonnage tools. She makes, does courses for fabric covered boxes. And this is one of the little fabric covered boxes that I made. And it houses all of my binding tools in there. So it opens up and it's got all this. I signed up for a yearly membership, and I get access to all of her different projects. And this was actually the toolbox. My version is a lot smaller. Her toolbox was quite a bit longer, but she's doing a one in March. So if you go on Colorway Arts or Cartonnage Tools, Cartonnage on Instagram, she is doing something in March, and she's making this little box, but a little bit smaller, maybe this size, if you want to try and make one of these little boxes for all your little tools. But she has this punching cradle. Her husband designed it for her. And I'm just going to set that inside there. Make sure it's all the way up to the top on that board. You push it all the way up, and then I'm just going to punch through my holes here. And I will put a link underneath the video for the cartonnage. And then what we're going to do is, and I just put my jumbo paper clip on that to hold it together. For this one, you want to leave room for your eyelet, and I would suggest putting your eyelet in now before the papers are in there, and make sure it's off center. You want it to be in the center this way. So if this is 5 inches, you want it to be 2.5 inches, but you want it to be off center toward the back of your spine, because you want to sew your book into the front part. So I will get my crocodile, and my crocodile, when I was punching something last year, I punched something and one of the little rivets broke right where this handle is attached, and the handle was really loose, and I just stuck a little screw in there. You can see the screw sticking out. It's an L-shaped. I stuck that in there and it's been working fine, but I really should contact We Are Memory Keepers and let them know that one of the rivets broke. So you're going to put it on your bigger hole, and you're going to punch that hole, like I say, closer to the edge than at the back than the front. And I'm just going to punch it right there. So if you can see that, there's my spine. See where my hole is? It's closer to the back. The front flap is here. And I'm going to go ahead and put my eyelet in there. I need to get some smaller eyelets. These do not crunch very well. All right. So you want to put your eyelet in now while the book pages don't interfere, and you can open up this other side and get it out of the way as well. So we're going to go ahead and put him in there. Make sure it's on my rivet. And crunch. And there you go. Now I have to go and use my hammer and do it outside because these rivets or these eyelets are quite thick. I have a little hammer and a little punch that I use to flatten it out a bit. But now that we have that done, you're going to go ahead and use your template, and you're going to punch your holes into your spine using this. Just lay it flat and line it up, and I just put like a little mark here and a little mark here, and that's what I line up my template with. And I center it, and then I go ahead and punch my holes. And I just use my punch thingy here. Let me make sure it's nice and even where we want the book pages to be. Let's get it over more. And punch those holes as well. Like that. And then we'll be able to sew our book pages in. I'm going to go ahead and go and flatten that eyelet first. Okay, now I'm going to grab, I just use this little tool is a little punch that comes with your eyelets when you buy them at Walmart in a little kit. And I just put it outside on my garage floor, get a hammer and hit it gently twice, and it just flattens it a lot better than trying to use the, the handheld one. You're just going to need about 2.5 lengths or height of your book for your string. I'm going to need a needle, and you're going to thread your needle like that. All right, and we're going to put our book, line our book pages up to those holes. And how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're going to start in the middle and go out through the book page. And I think everybody knows how to do these. You leave a tail, and all you're going to do is go in and out all the way up and all the way back down. Hold on, just let me get the first one going here. There we go. The thread is a bit thick until it goes through the hole a couple times. There we go. So you've got your first stitch, then you're going to go out. Come on. Like that, and pull it as you go so that it's nice and snug. I have a little piece of rubber that I use to pull my needles through when they get really tight. Okay, so I've gone all the way up, in and out, in and out, in and out, and now I'm going to go back down the exact same way. Pull it tight. Go in. And when you get to the center where your little tail's sticking out, you're going to skip the hole where the tail is sticking out. If you have an odd number, you skip the hole and go to the next one. If you have an even number, you're going to go into your tail, the tail hole. But I have 9 holes. Come on. So I've skipped that hole, and we're just going in and out again. Pull. Pull it tight. Isn't there a song? In and out, in. There we go. All right, one more in. I'm gonna have that song stuck in my head now. What was it? Why does the last one always give you trouble? There we go. Pull it tight. Go back out. I'm just going to pull my, there we go, in. Out. And then you're going to come back in that center one right there where your tail is actually sticking out. You're going to put your, oops, you're going to put that in there, and you want to come up on the other side of that thread. So you have your tail here, your thread going across, and you're going to come in on the other side. So your tail will be split with the thread going down the middle like that. Pull it out, take that off. So there's my two tails, and there's my thread going across, and you're just going to tie a knot. And because this is wax thread, you only need to really do one. If you're not sure, you can do it twice. You don't really need to. Waxed thread tends to grab better. Okay, so there's my little booklet sewn in, and I'm just going to push on that to flatten it out. Close back up that side, and there's our little cover. Let me put my needle away before I lose it. I have a little video on how to make these little matchbook needle thingies if you want to make one of those. Okay, so we're going to take her and we're going to put her on the cover. And I think I'm going to move it up to the top more in case I want to put a little label or something on it. I've got a little space down there to do that. Okay, so close that up. I want to smell that. Ugh. So there's that. And then I just take my photo corners and I will take a business card. And the business card is literally my template. That's where it's going to be sitting. So I'm just going to take, oh, and I'm going to do them on the second part, aren't I? Let's not forget that part. Okay, so I just put it on the top two corners, slide the business card in on the top two corners like that, and then decide where I want the card. Push them down, and then you want to pull your card down about 1/8 of an inch, and you want to put your bottom ones on. And the reason you pull them down 1/8 of an inch, it makes it easier to get the business card in and out. It's not as snug a fit. So you just pull it down about 1/8 of an inch from that top piece, and then when you take your cards out, you can just, it's not really snug, and that makes it difficult to get them back in. So that's all you're going to do with this whole back side. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this card out. And I'm going to do the same thing here, here, and all the way to the back. So that'll be for all my cards with addresses. And then on this side, this is my scrap basket of papers. Sorry, I just had to close my door. And I save all my little bits and pieces of scraps of lined papers. I just keep them in a little envelope, and then these are some more of my little bits and pieces of memo papers and whatnots. So I could use this paper if I want it to go, because remember I said I want the lines to go this way. I also have, I wonder if I have enough of these. This paper, let's see if I have enough. I like the color of this one. And this is from a journal that I had about 10 years ago. I had about 20 pages at the back of the journal that I didn't use. So I just go through all my old journals and stuff and rip out the back pages so that I can reuse them. All right, so what I'm going to do is cut this to fit. I want it to be 2 3/4 wide by 4.5. So I'm going to cut the 4.5 first, and then the 2 3/4. Let's see if that fits. There, and that covers almost the whole book page, and it gives me a nice writing space, and it really goes well with the paper that's already in there. And if you want to, you can distress the edges. I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to go ahead and cut them all and glue them in. So I will do that for all the front pages right to there, or as many of these as I have. And then the back pages will be all of these little corners. And then you can, if you want to, add a little pocket on this side as well. Again, it's totally up to you. I might add a little label here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut all these pages down, and I'll start gluing these in and get some more of my photo corners in, and I'll come back and show you the finished product. Okay, let's see how far we've gotten. I've added the little picture to the front, and I've grabbed one of my stamp labels that I have in my label box. And again, these are old end pages from old vintage books. I tear out that first, before the title page, there's always that piece of paper that's attached to the cover. I always save all those because I love the colors of them. They're very vintage looking, and I stamp labels with those. I've grabbed some stickers that I received in my Creative Studio box, my monthly mail out. I've added a few of those stickers throughout, and then this is a piece of vellum, printed vellum, and I've put that in with a glue stick. I find the glue stick helps the vellum stick better than other glues. I did go ahead and put in all of my lined pages, and I did use the Fabri-Tac glue, and I find if it oozes out, use a gum eraser, just wait for it to dry, and then look for any shiny bits and just rub that on there, and it doesn't rip the paper, it pulls off any gummy sticky parts. I've put in only my first 4 corners for the business card. I'm going to go ahead and put the rest in later. For the envelope, which will hold my business card, my own business card like that. I've just added one of those postage stamp stickers. And then on the inside, I've added a postage stamp sticker there as well. And on the back. So now all I'm doing is taking a piece of 2mm round elastic. It's thicker than the kind that you normally buy in the stores, the thin, it's really, really thin. I find that stretches out too fast. This is 2mm and it's a little bit thicker, or maybe it's 2.5 or 22. Oh gosh, now you got me thinking. Let me check. It is 2.25 millimeters. 2.25 millimeter, and I've just purchased these little, I call them feet crimps on Amazon. I looked them up and found those, and then all I do is I take my lighter and I get it to start, and I burn the end of the elastic so that it doesn't fray. I do that to one end first and add the foot. I put it through my hole here like this, and you want to put the foot flat like that. Then you want to take your elastic and you want to wrap it around, and you want to decide how large you want your elastic. And I normally add about 1/4 of an inch because this isn't tight. If I want to pull it and have it snug, so I normally will give it, just wrap it around gently, don't pull it or anything, and give it 1/4 of an inch. Again, use your own judgment. And then I cut it off and burn the end. And then I take one of my little crimping feet, and you just set the elastic right in the little groove. It's like a little boat. And you just set the elastic in the groove. And you get a pair of crimping pliers, and you just push those little tongs down on one side and then down on the other. And you just crimp that elastic closed. The little feet. And then you fold your elastic in half. And normally when I send my journals, I will take the elastic off because it's a little bulky when you're wrapping it, if it's just in an envelope or something. So I take the elastic out, but all you do is fold it in half, get a hold of it, push it through like that, pull it, and then when you get to your little feet, you want to make sure your feet flatten out like that, so they go flat like that, and then they don't take up as much room as if you have to tie a knot. Sometimes I use a button and I find the button gets caught on things, but these little feet lay nice and flat. You close it up and you wrap it around, and you can get this in different colors. Also, before I put that last foot on, I might add a button or a charm, and then you could have a little charm or a button hanging from your elastic as well. I just find sometimes it gets in the way when I'm in a rush or something. So that is basically how to make my little business card holder, address book, whatever you want to call it. But I normally, when I go into my doctor's, I have my hairdresser's card and that kind of thing. And I just, when I get them from the offices, I just grab them and put them in here. And then I have their information at all times on me in my purse, instead of in my cell phone. I'm always concerned that somebody's going to hack my cell phone and get all my personal information. So I try and keep all that stuff. I'm a paper person. I like to see things and feel things. So, and that's a great way to reuse some of your scraps. It doesn't even have to be scrapbooking paper. You could use an old cover of a magazine. You could use wallpaper, anything like that, but it has to be fairly sturdy. If you use just regular paper, it's going to get thrown in and out of your purse and the edges will bend a little bit more. So I try and find something that is fairly sturdy. So there are two of my little journals that I've created. And what I might do is, I haven't done a giveaway in a long time. I was waiting to get to 2,000 subscribers, but I did get over 1,800 when Dawn from the Book Vandal Shop sent a whole bunch of her viewers over to my channel. And to thank everyone for that, I think I'm going to give this one as a giveaway. I will take all my business cards out, but I will include this one in at the end of the video. You have to like the video, you have to be a subscriber, and please leave a comment, and I will do a giveaway for this little girl business card holder that goes in your purse. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye for now.